everybody, welcome to Damn Good Barbecue. Today we are going to take a look at how we go about smoking 3-bone beef ribs. So right here we have a package of 4 racks of beef ribs. They're certified Angus beef, and we're going to show about just kind of how we go about preparing them and seasoning them before we put them on the pit. Go ahead and just open these up. So our beef rib process is pretty simple. So we don't do anything super crazy. And we'll talk about some of the things that we use just to differentiate the beef rib from the brisket. So we're gonna go ahead and just take them out of here and kind of show you real quick what we do for trimming. We don't do a whole ton to them. They're pretty much ready to go right out of the package. Let's set this over here. All right, so these are your standard plate rib right here. So you've got 3 big bones in here, a fat cap across the top, and a membrane on the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and move you guys in a little bit closer so you can get a little bit better view. All right, now that I got you in here close, I'm gonna show you how we go about getting these prepared and seasoned to go right on the smoker. So as I was saying before, we don't do a whole ton. So I'm not gonna trim the fat cap down. Leaving that on there is gonna give you a real nice bark on the top once you get all this rendered out. So we're just kind of looking for anything hanging off, any bone fragments. There's usually not much on here, or anything kind of misshapen. This is kind of like a perfectly shaped rack right here. So we're gonna set that one aside to go ahead and get seasoned up here in a second. This one's got a little extra fat right here we're gonna trim off just because it's a little poking out there. Don't want it to get all burned up. This guy's good. And then these two, every once in a while you get them with this little lip of fat here on the edge. So what I'll usually do is just kind of come through and just trim that straight, just so that way you don't have anything for moisture to collect on, or it doesn't obstruct the flow of the smoke at all. And those are ready to go. And then these guys, same thing. We're just gonna kind of trim this little ridge of fat right here off the edge. Square that up a little. All right, so these guys are good to go. They're all seasoned up. We're gonna go ahead and just throw some 16 mesh black pepper and some Diamond Crystal Kosher salt, same stuff we used on our brisket. And we do the same process with beef ribs and the brisket. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go put down a layer of pepper. If you want to get a better explanation of why we season everything separately, go watch the brisket video, which I will put somewhere here on the screen. So you can go ahead and click that. So just kind of go ahead, season the top and all the sides. Again, we go really heavy on the pepper. You really get a great bark, great texture. Just really kind of helps give a really awesome mouth feel once these things are done cooking. And for the beef ribs, really want a nice bark on the outside. And we'll talk through kind of how we go about cooking them as well. And for the beef ribs, we don't use a binder. They usually come pretty wet out of the packaging. So the water that's already on the outside is going to be enough to get all of this to stick for the most part. If you feel like some of the pepper's not sticking, go ahead and throw some whatever binder you want to use on there. Spit some of the water, vinegar, put some salt or some mustard on there, whatever you want to do. Anything will work. And beef ribs are fun. There's not really a set flavor profile people expect to get out of a beef rib. So you can really play with it, make it your own. We'll kind of switch it up week to week, just trying out new things, seeing how we want to change the flavor or make anything different. Maybe add some onion powder, garlic powder, garlic salt, like whatever you want to add on the outside. Really, just kind of do whatever you want to do. Today we're going pretty simple. We're going to stick to just our standard rub today. So we're going to do black pepper. We're going to hit them with just a touch of kosher salt. All right. And then finally, we're just gonna hit the tops with just a little bit of Lawry's, just to give some, just a little extra flavor on the top of these ribs. Beef ribs are such a rich cut of meat, so you really can do whatever you want to them, and you're really gonna just kind of add a little extra dimension to the flavor of the beef. All right, guys. Now that these are all seasoned, we're gonna go ahead and get these on the smoker. Try to put them on the smoker, the thicker side towards the firebox, and they're just gonna sit like that. We're not gonna spritz them. We're not gonna do anything with them. We're just gonna let them go until they're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these on, and we'll be right back. So we just got the beef ribs on the smoker. Beef ribs really benefit from a hot cook. It's really going to help break down all that connective tissue, render out all that fat, and really just help them be super juicy and moist and super tender. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the pit. We've working through our brisket video as well. We're going through the stages of our brisket cook. We're about at the 275 stage right now. And so that's perfect for the beef ribs. Throw them on 275. They're going to remain unwrapped for the entire cook. And the reason we do that is just to provide a little bit of a textural difference between the brisket that's going to get wrapped in butcher paper and the beef ribs that won't get wrapped at all. And it's really going to help provide a nice crunchy bark. Just really make it feel a little different, taste different than the brisket, so they kind of stand out from one another. So next time you see us, we are going to be checking these and showing you how we know when they're done. So like I said, we're going to run at 275. Eventually, towards the end of the cook, we're going to bump it up to 300. And we'll show you that as well once we get to that stage. But thanks a ton, guys, and we'll see you later. All right, guys, the beef ribs have been on for about 4 hours or so at this point. So you can see we've got nice pullback. We've been rocking these guys at about 275 for the entire duration of the cook. You can see they're still super firm. So these guys still have a little ways to go. Like I was saying earlier, we're not going to wrap these, and we're just going to let them go all the way through. But you can see after 4 hours just the bark that's already formed on these. And we're running a nice clean fire. You can see these bones still have some nice color, but they're not turning black, which is what you want. It just looks a lot better in pictures. And then nothing's getting too crispy. Haven't spritzed anything, so we're still not getting super crunchy just yet. But if you start feeling these ends on the ends of the bones over here, and you start feeling a little crisp, or stuff feels like it maybe start burning, you can go ahead and spritz them with a little apple cider vinegar and water, or just whatever you want to do. But these are the ones on the front. We don't flip the beef ribs at all. We just have them facing the one direction the entire cook. I feel like it really helps them to plump up a lot and then not look super weird once they're done. I feel like when you flip them over, they kind of bunch up a little too much in the middle, and you're left with bone on both sides. And I feel like they turn out a lot better presentation-wise to just have the pull back all on one side. They're obviously still going to pull back on the other side, but it won't be as much. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. So we're just going to keep an eye on these, spritz them when it's needed. And then when we are ready to take these off, I will show you what we're looking for once we go about pulling these off. So we've got pork butts on here as well. We've got briskets that we're doing in another video. So you guys will have to check that out. I'll put it here somewhere on the screen so you can click it. And then if you want to see how we do our pork butts, let me know and I'll make a video about that too. But pork butts are pretty straightforward. But sweet guys, we'll see you here for you guys in just a second, but in a couple of hours when we're ready to pull these things off. All right, thanks. So we're finally at the time where we can go ahead and check these. They should be done. So what we've been doing is we started the cook, just to give a quick recap. We started the cook at about 275 for the beef ribs, carried them all the way through for about 4 hours or so. And then we bumped up the temp to 300 degrees. And it's super important to cook the beef ribs at a higher temperature because it really renders out all that fat, breaks down that collagen, and really helps make the beef rib special. And you'll get a look at them here in a second when I open it up. So what we're looking for when we check beef ribs is we're looking for a nice squishy feeling and a nice wiggle when you go about wiggling the bones around. So these guys are done. You can also take your instant read thermometer right here. So we use Thermopin, and you kind of just poke around and you can see how it goes in with very, very little resistance. This guy has a little bit longer, and this guy's also done. And this is what you get with the no wrap. You get a real nice bark on the outside and a real nice caramely texture with the fat. You can see how it almost kind of like sticks off my fingers like sugar. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna pull these two off, and we're gonna take them over to the table, wrap them in butcher paper, and let them cool down a little bit and pop them in the warmer.